When I was younger, my family seemed like the perfect picture of stability. We lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Ohio, where every house had trimmed lawns, and neighbors waved as they walked their dogs. My dad, Michael Thompson, was a respected architect who worked long hours but always made time for family dinners. My mom, Rebecca, was warm and patient, balancing her work at the library with raising me and my younger sister, Emily. On the surface, nothing seemed wrong. But as I got older, I began to notice cracks in the picture-perfect family we displayed to the world. The first time I felt something was off, I was 15. I had stayed up late one night scrolling through my phone when I heard the faint sound of my dad's voice downstairs. He was on the phone, his tone softer, almost playful in a way I'd never heard with Mom. Curiosity tugged at me, so I crept halfway down the stairs. I caught a glimpse of him pacing the living room, whispering words I didn't quite catch, but I knew the tone. It was the voice of someone speaking to more than just a friend. When he hung up, he sighed deeply, rubbing his face as though burdened with a heavy secret. I wanted to dismiss it, tell myself I was imagining things, but that moment stayed with me. Over the next year, little things started to add up. He began working late more often, sometimes not coming home until after midnight. He claimed it was deadlines or clients needing urgent meetings. Mom, trusting and devoted, accepted it. But I noticed the cologne lingering stronger than usual when he returned, and sometimes the faint trace of lipstick on his shirt collar. Once, when I borrowed his car, I found an unfamiliar bracelet in the back seat, something I knew didn't belong to Mom. I slipped it into my pocket and never mentioned it, but it burned in my mind as proof of something I wasn't ready to confront. It wasn't until I turned 17 that the truth finally began unraveling in front of me. One Saturday afternoon, Dad said he had to step out to meet a client. Something in his tone felt rehearsed. Suspicion nagged at me, so I told Mom I was going to hang out with a friend, but instead I followed him. I trailed his car across town, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. He didn't go to an office or construction site. Instead, he parked in front of a small coffee shop. I stayed hidden as I watched him walk inside and greet a woman with a smile that lit up his entire face, one I hadn't seen him wear at home in a long time. She was younger than Mom, maybe in her 30s, with auburn hair that fell in waves around her shoulders. He kissed her cheek casually, like it was something he had done many times before. They sat together in the corner booth, leaning close, laughing softly, sharing a world that didn't include us. My hands trembled as I gripped the steering wheel, anger and betrayal washing over me. For nearly 2 hours I sat in that car staring at them, realizing my dad wasn't the man I thought he was. I didn't tell Mom right away. I wrestled with the knowledge, unsure of what to do. I loved my dad, but I couldn't look at him the same way. At dinner that night, he acted normal, cracking jokes, asking about Emily's homework, pretending he hadn't just spent the afternoon in another woman's company. His ability to mask it so well frightened me. How long had he been doing this? How much of our family life was a lie? One night when Dad was working late, I found Mom sitting at the kitchen table, staring blankly at her tea. I sat across from her, the weight of my secret nearly choking me. I asked, "Mom, do you trust Dad?" She looked up, startled, then gave me a small, tired smile. "Of course I do. Why would you ask that?" I wanted to tell her everything, but seeing the hope in her eyes broke me. I couldn't shatter her world with words I wasn't ready to speak. So I stayed silent, and the secret ate away at me. But secrets have a way of surfacing whether you want them to or not. A few months later, the truth came crashing down in the ugliest way possible. Emily had borrowed Dad's laptop to work on a school project. In his email, she accidentally stumbled upon a string of messages that left her frozen. She came running to me, tears streaking her face, clutching the laptop as if it were poisoned. The emails were from the same woman I had seen at the coffee shop. They spoke of weekends away, love that shouldn't exist, and promises Dad couldn't keep. Emily, only 15 at the time, was devastated. We couldn't keep it from Mom anymore. She deserved to know. Together, Emily and I sat her down, trembling as we revealed what we had discovered. Her face went pale, her hands shook, and for a long time she didn't say anything. The silence was worse than if she had screamed. Finally she whispered, "I knew something wasn't right. I just didn't want to believe it." Tears rolled down her cheeks as she buried her face in her hands. When Dad came home that evening, the confrontation was unavoidable. Mom stood in the living room, the emails printed out and spread across the coffee table. His eyes widened, and for once, his smooth words failed him. The truth was laid bare. He tried to explain, tried to justify, saying he felt neglected, saying it just happened, but nothing he said could erase the betrayal. Mom told him he had a choice to make: end the affair or lose his family. For weeks, the house was filled with tension so heavy it was suffocating. Dad claimed he ended things, but the trust was shattered. Emily barely spoke to him, and I couldn't look at him without remembering the woman in the coffee shop. Mom put on a brave face, but late at night, I could hear her muffled sobs through the walls. Eventually, Dad moved out. He said it was temporary, that he needed space, but deep down I knew it was the beginning of the end. Mom filed for divorce 6 months later. Watching our family unravel was one of the hardest things I've ever endured, but in a strange way, it made Emily and me stronger. We leaned on each other, supported Mom, and learned that sometimes the truth, no matter how painful, is better than living in a lie. Looking back now as an adult, I realize that behind closed doors, every family has struggles the world doesn't see. My dad's hidden affair wasn't just about infidelity. It was about choices, honesty, and the fragile trust that holds a family together. The pain of discovering the truth changed me forever, but it also taught me the importance of honesty and communication. And though my parents' marriage ended, we found a way to rebuild, even if it looked different than before. The perfect family we once seemed to be never really existed, but in its place we found something real. Resilience, love that endures through heartbreak, and the courage to face the truth, even when it breaks you.